protected. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
The Kate Daly Show is brought to you by Whipple Service Champions, your plumbing, electrical, heating, and cooling experts. Need a repair? Just Whipple that away. WhipplePlumbing.com. This is the Kate Daly Show.
Cheery music for you as we talk about the way in which you're spied on and crept on and that you have no privacy. But here's some cheery music, by darn it. There you go. That feel good. There we go. What would we do without fun music? All right. So, of course, we shall take your calls. And I have a caller on hold, and I just wanted to mention that, remember when I did the show on the Disney thing, Tinkerbell, dotting the I being changed, and Sinbad being changed. And, of course, people have a whole different concept for that, the Mandela effect. But I'm going to say, Susan sent us this. Bill Clinton's page was just changed on July 22nd, and the page now takes off the entire relationship with Epstein. I mean, it was lengthy. Took off the whole thing and only mentions him in one of the footnotes.
Well, thank goodness. I never believed any of that anyway.
All right. Okay. No. So isn't that nuts? So just know that history is being changed, all reworked, and 10 years from now, you're going to think you were insane to think the things you think, and
Sure.
They're doing it on purpose. And that's why I did that show, so you can kind of keep track of these things happening. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Well, hey, Kate. Hey, Uncle Milty. How are you?
Good. Go right ahead.
Hey, I don't know, since you're talking about basically, how everything is compromised, everything has been infiltrated.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start thinking, I think, in different terms. So I don't know if you saw the story about what's happening over in the UK, but the people got so frustrated because, again, the police are targeting the Brits instead of the people who are actually the violent ones.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided online on social media to put up kind of like a decoy riot. And of course, all of the military, or excuse me, the police over in the UK went out because they heard online that they were going to have this Brits only type of a march or a riot.
Mm-hmm.
And who else showed up? But all the Muslims. So then the police had to go and deal with all of these violent Muslims because they were there to clash with this fake announcement of a Brits-only march.
Wow.
So I think that we're not using all the tools that we have in our toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
I get that things are compromised, but when we wake up to that fact, we've got to be like the founding fathers. They had an entire, type of a speak that they had that only the people in the know knew how to recognize. I was watching Chernobyl again with my kids, and when the woman who, obviously represents a bunch of different scientists, they knew that they were being spied on all the time. And so they knew that they had communicated back and forth how to say different phrases just by speaking about the weather or by speaking about who was visiting, and giving them different names of elements, on the periodic table, stuff that they wouldn't understand, that the people in the know get.
Yes.
And we're going to have to start thinking along those lines because, yes, we are being listened into constantly, and we got to be smarter. We've got to be smarter.
I agree. That's why on the Friday show, I talked about that. I addressed that because I said, do you have a code system of certain words with your family and friends? Do you have a way to communicate? I think we should all watch Prison Break again. I don't know. I'm just getting this sense that you're right. We're not using all the tools in the toolbox, and we ought to be. So I love that idea. Truly.
Yeah, use their tools against them. I loved what the UK did. I thought that was so smart because you've got to fight back somehow. Brilliant. And that wasn't violence, but that set up the frame of putting the violent people against the police and saying, "Okay, take care of them.
Yes,
we're done with this."
Oh, I love it. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, hi caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
So I was the first caller on the purism thing. I just want Uncle Milty to expand on his his comment, so I'm calling as a rebuttal.
Okay.
And what do you got against social purpose corporations anyway?
Well, I don't like the way they're manipulated. I mean, they get dragged into a thing like environmentalism is one of the issues that they get dragged into. And they're not forced to do it, but they get benefits from doing those kind of things.
So the leaning
it's
into
just the way things lean. And open source is not necessarily a good thing. Open source actually means anybody with programming experience or be able to write languages can change those programs.
Right. It's supposed to mean transparency so that anyone can see where it's going.
But it also opens the door to be manipulated and redistributed. So
something to think about.
That's not necessarily a safe thing.
Yeah, but the whole platform. I mean, if you go read their website, and I don't own stock in the company, and I don't. I'm just calling to say here's an alternative to the Android and the Apple domination with all the cell phone stuff.
Yeah.
And they say right in there, they say have no means to access users' encrypted data.
Right.
So they provide encryption tools in the hardware, and you can't access it. So, I mean, here's an alternative, and I'm just saying go check it out.
Yes, for sure. I think
so.
It's worthy of checking out, and I actually think you're right, caller. It's worthy to check out. And I just don't know that there's any safe haven anymore. I think we've surpassed that point, don't you?
Which was the point I was trying to make.
Right. I don't know.
Or we can go back to ham radios. I was a ham radio operator. Maybe we should go back to that.
Not a bad idea.
Excellent idea.
Anyway, thank you. Appreciate it. Not a bad idea.
Actually, ham radio is probably at some point going to save us from something.
Well, you know what? What we should look at starfish sites. That was the large-scale nighttime decoys created by the Blitz to simulate burning British cities. Okay, there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that we could do. We probably should do a whole show on decoying and trying to figure out different ways to beat these games. And I actually think they're getting desperate. I know on Thursday's show, I'll address, I watched Fly Me to the Moon, and we'll address that because they're getting a little desperate, or they wouldn't put out a show like Fly Me to the Moon because too many people are suspecting that the moon landing didn't actually happen. So they put out a spin to it. And the average age of the worker was 28 for a reason. We'll go over that on Thursday, but we'll mention it on Thursday. But it's just, we are in the disinfo, misinfo landmines. And we have to realize this and start taking snapshots, start taking pictures of Wikipedia or information that you're sure of, and maybe you can compare and contrast 5 years from now, 2 years from now on how much has been changed. But they are very, very, in a very stealthy way, going through the internet and rewriting history. Look what they did for Hormala. I mean, my gosh, talk about rewriting her history, but basically rewriting her.
Yeah, and we're watching it live.
Her whole entire being. So I think that you teach your kids, teach your grandkids about this. Let them understand what we're going to have to be dealing with. Because you're not crazy, and I'm not crazy, and you're not crazy. Well, you're a little crazy.
Well, I'm a little crazy.
He's a little crazy. Be right back with Mel Madison. He always brings such great stuff to the show. Be right back. Stay with us at The Kate Daly Show, KateDalyRadio.com for the call-in number.
Hi, Tyler Todd here with We Win Injury Law. While I might not be smashing serves on the pickleball court, I'm definitely serving my clients wins in the courtroom and handling all the legal hurdles you are dealing with. If you've been injured, I'll